Hello, welcome back to Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, I'm gonna talk about the Hilbert nodes in Sverchok. Hilbert nodes is actually one of those nodes that actually only does one thing, and in particular, is doing this Hilbert algorithm. But I think it's pretty simple nodes, but I think it's a really good way to again opportunity to introduce how you might work and using Sverchok. So if you have seen me some of my videos, I always use like Shift A, and I quickly type in the name of the nodes. That's because I know there's nodes that's called Hilbert, and apparently we have 3 nodes that's actually dealing with Hilbert algorithm. So I'm gonna make all of those. They're actually pretty straightforward. Once again, it's a very easy to use nodes, and you probably don't need to see the documentation. But if you like, for example, if you want to see the documentations, you can get it online or offline. Offline is more like text based, but it's really good as well. But if you have like normally this actually will trigger the online help. But if you can't find it, you can always search for it, like Sverchok Hilbert, and you should get documentation 2D, 3D, and there's actually documentation for Hilbert image. You can have a read, but for this particular node, it's actually super simple to use, and it's only expecting like 2 inputs, and you should get like the output like vertices and edges. You can Google search for Hilbert algorithm, and you will see that it's basically some kind of algorithm that try to fit bunch of points and arrange it in such a way that it's filling the space. Imagine if you have like a single strand of hair and you want to ensure all those hairs kind of go through the spaces in within the space you specified. So anyway, it's the way we can use it is really just providing some input here. We don't even need to plug anything. If we try viewer draw, and okay, Blender apparently crashes, so I'll restart again. I think it's my computer need upgrading. Let's get back to this. If you actually Google search for Hilbert algorithm, you should get some information about it. Hilbert algorithm. There's like some math about it. It's not. It's probably the algorithm itself probably a little bit complicated, but if you like to explore this yourself, feel free to do it. But here, this is like the level of algorithm, like. But anyway, you will get some kind of pattern like this. There you go. This is the one that we're gonna create using Sverchok. So yeah, let's get started. Hilbert, start with a Hilbert 2D, and quickly we will draw vertices and edges, and we get our pattern already. By default, we get level 2, but you can go all the way to level 1 and increase it. So it's actually particularly simple. It gives you this, and you are pretty much done with it unless you want to further work with it. For example, you can bake it out, and maybe if you check it with like a build modifier, you can have that kind of animation. So you see from the first point and edges being generated to the last edges is actually a single line, continuous line. It doesn't have any breakable, it doesn't overlap as well. Yeah, and you can perhaps add like a skin modifier on top of it. If it's like too big, you can Control A and make it smaller. This guy is also looking a little bit like our intestines and our brain. I think it's very cool algorithm. But the one, I think the basic Hilbert algorithm only make like a square pattern. It doesn't make like any other shapes, but maybe you can kind of maybe there's another algorithm on that's made based on Hilbert to generate like a space filling algorithm to fill the space of 3D in such a way that's it's very efficient and doesn't overlap. So that's Hilbert 2D. It's nothing much about it, except that I don't know if you're using like a smooth vertices. Since we already have this inside Sverchok now, we can plug the vertices in edges, and then we should get like a different pattern. And if you actually goes all the way, like up to 100, you will see that it goes back to the beginning, goes back to the like the first Hilbert kind of, except that's a little bit curvy, but you kind of interesting. You see, you start with a single line, and then you kind of go through the algorithm, and it's kind of filling the space until eventually you get this complex pattern. We can go even higher, you know, and using iterations. Iteration only goes up to 1000 here. But still pretty interesting to be able to see this on the fly. So we have Hilbert 2D, that's pretty simple, nothing much to it. We also have Hilbert 3D, you can guess it. It's doing the Hilbert thing but in 3D. And sometimes I look at it, it looks like a pipe works. A little bit complex, but yeah, but this is what it does. And then sometimes I also look at it and think so it looks like instant noodles inside a package, except that it's a little bit boxy. You can actually use polyline viewer with this guy, and you will get some interesting result right away, especially if you turn on B-spline. You really get like a noodle pattern here. And if I'm not wrong, this guy is actually like it's like a single line, like I say. You can really animate it that way. With Hilbert 3D, if we kind of resize it, it's really started to look like a noodle. Maybe like I said, it's gonna be more interesting if this Hilbert thing can fit into like a 3D kind of space. Sverchok actually have another algorithm as a script node somewhere. If you can find it, there is one from Linus that's actually doing something that's like Hilbert. So it's gonna kind of pick a starting point and the end points and try to go through all the points using just a single line. It's somewhere inside Sverchok. If you want to find it, it should be there. Anyhow, there is one more Hilbert nodes, which is the Hilbert image. And with the image one, you really just need like an image of some sort. I'm gonna use this Mona Lisa image, and we'll see the result. I'm not gonna use the polyline for now, just viewer. So vertices and edges, I'll increase this, and you see this guy is like starting to resemble this Mona Lisa image, even though it's kind of squeezing it into square. By default, I think it's looking at the grayscale image of this Mona Lisa. Wherever it's lighter, you see less kind of packed Hilbert, but if it's like darker, you can see it's denser. But you can also adjust this RGB value. I don't know if with Mona Lisa maybe you have higher red, so you filter out the green and the blue. Maybe you can play around with this. This setting is actually very similar to another nodes in Sverchok. It's image nodes. This one actually generates some kind of displays image, but there's a limit to this guy, 100 by 100. Hilbert one slightly different. So there's a size, there's sensitivity. I think smaller value is actually denser. So it goes from 0 to 1. Yeah, there's nothing much to this, really. If you want to make like animation, there's a lot you can do. If you use like a list split, you can kind of make us use list split with the edges, and then you probably can kind of draw, actually not list split, list slice. Sorry about that. This guy, level 1, and you will see this will make the animations. Because if we actually goes down, if we use index viewer, you can see how the points kind of being connected. See, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way until the last point somewhere. And this list slice kind of slicing the edge data, so you can animate it from the start until the end. You can do all sort of stuff, including like resampling. Because this is a single line, you can really just use vector interpolation, plug the vertices, and here to get the edges back, we use UV connection. And use range float. Let's see the result. I think you can animate it, this guy as well. So this is like it has some kind of smoother interpolations. This actually reminds me of Pac-Man as well. See, like this pattern with a less interpolations, actually slightly more interesting, slightly more natural, sort of. So Hilbert, if you displace it slightly using maybe vector noise, maybe you get kind of more interesting result. So for example, this is by default, it looks like Hilbert. But if you add noise, vector noise, and just add it using vector math, have that. Maybe not too much, so we're gonna use this multiply by scalar, small number, actually maybe even bigger number, I don't know. Maybe the vector shouldn't do it in the z-axis. Just I don't know, just like an idea. I think this is actually quite nice as well. And then if you use like a vector math, maybe round by s digit, so this guy will snap. Oh yeah, that's it's very interesting. Size. I don't know, all sort of pattern you can generate. So yeah, just have fun with it. Just play around with it. You will see a lot of nodes you can combine together with Hilbert. So yeah, once again, Hilbert is one of those special nodes that's only does like some kind of algorithm. There are plenty of other nodes already given by Sverchok developers, but you can also make your own algorithm. Yeah, so hopefully this one is useful for you. If you just started using Sverchok, really just go through the nodes and find the documentations and give it a try. This viewer draw is always very helpful. So whenever you see vertices and edges, or vertices and polygon, you can just plug it in into viewer draw, and you can see a result, and you can bake it, and you get your geometry. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this live coding. I guess I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.